We understand that hosting is something that's urgently needed, and I think, recognising that the plight of asylum seekers and other migrants in the UK, what they're facing, lots of people are motivated to do something, but inviting someone into your house can seem like quite an intimidating thing. In a housing justice, we recognise that, and we want to make sure that our hosts and any prospective hosts feel really supported as they go. So we've got a wide range of support that we offer to our hosts. It includes some of the support we provide before they start hosting. So we DBS check our hosts, and we perform risk assessments with any potential guests to make sure that anyone we place with you is going to be suitable. So you don't have to worry about that element. We also do home visits with any prospective hosts, which is a great chance for you to meet us in person, ask us any questions you have, and we make sure also that your home's going to be a safe and suitable place for any guest. We then have an induction training session we do for our hosts, which covers just some of the basics of what you need to know before you start hosting. And we give people a chance to meet with one of our current hosts if you want to hear from an actual host perspective of what it's like. We've also got quite an in-depth host handbook which we provide to hosts before they start, and that's been developed using feedback from a lot of our experienced hosts. So we met with them, talked to them about, what did you need to know before you started, what advice would you give to new hosts, and from that we've created this handbook. So, hopefully it covers any eventualities that are going to come up. For hosts who are clergy, we've also got support there from compassionate communities, helping with the diocese side of things and any clergy specific issues that might come up. And then when you're at a stage ready to welcome a guest, we've got quite a thorough matching process that we do. So that means that you've got time and space to make a decision about, is this person someone I want to welcome into my home? Are we going to feel comfortable? Are we going to get on? For this, we do an initial meeting by Zoom, so you get a chance to get a feel of the person, hear a little bit about them, say a bit about about yourself, about your house. And then if you're happy with how that went, we do a meeting at your house, which is a chance to meet the prospective guest in person. Again, you can ask them more questions, they can see the room that you've got available, and we're there on hand to mediate that meeting and make sure that the important things are discussed. And then only after you've done all this would it be the point where we'd ask you to make a decision about whether you want to welcome them into your home or not. So it's not at all a rushed process. It probably takes longer than people expect, but that's because we recognise that it's important that the placements are going to work and you will feel safe and the guest will feel safe. Because we're not offering short-term emergency hosting, we don't want people to be living for several months or longer in a place where they're not getting on. And obviously, if something did go on, there were small disagreements, we're on hand to mediate anything like that and to try and talk it through. We also offer reflective practice for our hosts, so that's delivered by an external reflective practitioner, and that's a chance to meet a few other hosts and talk through how it's going for you, what you're learning, any problems you're having, and that's available throughout your time as a host. We've also, unfortunately, because of COVID, been less able to do the social events we normally would, but we are trying again to get some social events going, which is a great chance for you to meet other hosts and other guests as well, because it's really useful sometimes to have this network of people around you who've doing the same thing, understand where you're coming from, and it's great for us to be able to celebrate our hosts and our guests and spend time together in this nice positive kind of way. And as well, alongside all of that, we regularly check in with our hosts to talk to them about, just checking everything's going okay with them, there's no problems that come up, and we're available by phone or email, at any time otherwise. And then finally, we really try and work with the host around how long they want to host, their availability, because we understand some people, they may want to host, but the room's only available for a few months at a time. And if we know that, that is fine. But some people, they might have the room available a while, but they're a bit hesitant at first to offer it very long term. And again, we can work around that, if people want to try hosting for a few months and then see if they want to extend it, that's fine, and we can review it and, check if it's still working. So, a wide range of support to try and make our hosts feel safe and comfortable as they go through this. Likewise, we also offer quite a lot of support for our guests. All of our guests, they will have at least one other caseworker working with them from the organisation who referred them to us. So that means that you as a host are not expected to be doing loads of casework for them, anything like that. We, especially clergy, know a lot of people don't have much spare time, and that's completely okay. The important thing is offering someone a safe, stable place to live. But our guests do have things going on, particularly the immigration case. So they'll have a caseworker helping them with that. But we at Housing Justice also do some extra. So we do a wellbeing plan with them to check if there's any support they need. We've got a guest handbook which we provide to them, which, like our host handbook, this was created by talking to our current guests, asking them, what was it like for you as a guest at first? What would you have liked to known? So that, before they start hosting, hopefully it's not quite as intimidating for them as well. Also, the matching process is important for the guests because they're moving into a stranger's home. They need time to make sure they feel comfortable. So for all our guests, because they aren't entitled to public funds and they're not allowed to work, they get £110 a month from us if they're not getting funds from any other charity. And that's to give them a little bit of independence and dignity. That's really not very much money at all to live on, but if it weren't for that, they would have nothing. So this allows them to buy their own food and phone credit and things like that, so that the guest isn't dependent on you for this sort of thing. And all our guests get a dedicated caseworker from Housing Justice, so that's someone who'll check in with them, see if they need any more support, make sure they're feeling comfortable in their placement, things like that. And all our guests are going to be working with a solicitor when they're staying with hosts. So some of them, they will already have a solicitor when they refer to us, but for any who don't, we've got a partnership with the Cardinal Hume Centre, and they provide solicitors who can work with our guests, and they will only take on cases where they think there's a viable chance of success. Because for all our guests, the move on we're hoping for is that their immigration case is going to be resolved and they can start building their own independent life. And then, just like with the host, we regularly check in with our guests. So, at all times, we're there to touch base with and to make sure that things are going okay. So, if after listening to that, you think hosting is something you might be able to do, or you're not even sure but you'd like to find out more, then we would really like to hear from you. The first step would be to register your interest online, and there will be links at the end of this to do that. And then after that, one of us from Housing Justice will get in contact with you just for a chat. So by registering your interest, you're not committing to anything, but it'll be a chance to talk to one of us and maybe ask some questions, find out a bit more. And after that, if having talked to us, it sounded like you wanted to try this, you wanted to go ahead, there's a host application to complete that we'd send. Once that was done, we'd come round and visit your house, so you get to see us in person, in as COVID safe way as possible. And again, we could, you could ask us any questions and we could find out a bit more about you, why you're interested in hosting, what your lifestyle is. This is important as well because when we think about matching the guest, we want to make sure that it's someone who's going to be a good fit with your house. So if you've got lots of young children, say, and it's quite a noisy, exciting household, maybe an elderly guest who wants somewhere quiet wouldn't be suitable. So the home visit is useful for that. After that, we're now doing our induction sessions online because obviously it's more COVID safe. So we do the induction process. You get a chance to talk with us again off the back of that if you've got any questions that come out of it. And we do the DBS check in the meantime. So we take care of all that, but it can take a few weeks to come through. Then once all that is set up and you've told us that you're available to host, and we know people might not be available straight away and that's fine, you can do the other steps first, even if it's going to be a few months till you're available. But once you are available, if a prospective guest gets referred to us that we think is suitable, like we said, we'll do the initial meeting by Zoom. And if that goes well, then we do the home visit. And after all that, if everyone's happy to go ahead, we'll arrange the move-in at a time that will work for you and for the guest. And then after that's done, like I said, it's by no means the end of our contact. There's a lot of ongoing support that you and the guest will get. So we have on the slide here just some quotes from hosts who talk about how hosting's changed their life, and I think it's interesting how similar it is to the things that guests say about how it's changed their life. A lot of people talk about the relationships and what they've learned and how they come to feel close to this person who's been staying with them. You know, people expect hosting might be something quite difficult or stressful, but that's not what people say. They say that they've learnt about cultures, they've learnt about different people, and you know, they've just grown to know someone better during this time. So we talk a lot about how hosting is really valuable for the guests, and it is, that's why we do it, but there are really tangible benefits for the hosts as well. If after all of this you would like to take the next step, like I said, the best way is just to register your interest online. From that, we'll get in contact, we'll have a chat with you and take it from there. If you've got any other questions, though, and you'd prefer to ask them first, you can email us at the email address there. And, you know, even if you don't feel that you're ready to host straight away, we'd still really like to hear from you or any other questions you have about the project. And I think it's quite nice to end on this quote we've got from a guest who said, "Being a host means having a good heart, choosing to let someone into your home." And I think ultimately that sums up what it is. That's all we're asking, is just this hospitality and generosity to invite someone in.